Hi guys, Squirrel here. I'm back with a This May Contain Nuts episode. This May Contain Nuts is, of course, the Q&A video, if you like. It's where I answer your questions. If you want to ask a question for a future episode, very simple. You just need to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is @SQRLTV. Quite simple. And you push out a tweet. You don't need to mention me. Just push out a tweet and tag it with #TMCN. That's all you need to do. Create a tweet, #TMCN. I'll review those, and if you're lucky, you also get picked and answered in a future video. Please keep them coming. Please try not to ask any that's already been asked, because obviously I'm not going to pick those. But yeah, it's good. I like this. I like the series. It's a nice little Q&A session. Somebody actually asked me the question the other day. They said, "Will you do a Q&A?" And I was like, "Well, that's what This May Contain Nuts is. It's a Q&A." I'm like, "Oh, all right, okay." Yes, go and watch those videos. Anyway, right, where are we? We're in Portugal. We're in Porto, in Portugal. We're taking a journey today which goes from the top of Portugal right down to the bottom. I'll show you the map in a second. Let's just make sure that guy's not... Yep, I thought he was going to do that. Yeah, we're going to be hauling a bus. So it's a bit like a blend between Truck Sim and OMSI. We're going to be taking a bus. Well, not taking a bus. We're going to be hauling a bus. That was pretty unlucky. I'll just show you where we are on the map while we're waiting for those lights. Porto is here, and we're going to be travelling down towards Lisbon and then down to Faro. Faro's the destination, so it is just a day trip, I think. It's 500 kilometres, so it should just be a single day trip. It's quite early in the morning, as you can see on the clock on the... Oh, it's not in the morning. It's actually 18:33. Well, it looks like we're going for a night journey. I actually thought it was morning for some reason. Yep, it looks like we'll be hacking it through the night. Down the west coast of Portugal as the sun sets. Might make for some interesting views, you never know. Let's get on with this then we've got some more daylight. In fact, let's put the lights on now because I may forget later. There's the bus. It's quite a bright colour. It's like a very stupidly bright banana colour. Very unrealistic. But otherwise should make an interesting delivery. There we go. It's 11 tons. Pretty straightforward. We've got plenty of fuel. So we shouldn't need to refuel, but I'll keep my eye on the fuel. We've got 800 litres. That should be way more fuel than we're ever going to use. So let's get this thing hitched up. We'll get on the road and we'll start answering some questions. There we go. Alrighty then. Now the first question I need to ask myself is, do I need a... beacons? And I believe, yes, I do. That is actually... Look at the way that's actually touching the side, the ramp, you see it? That only just fit into that spot there. Right, as ever, I do apologise, but not really, if I drive a little bit slower than you might be used to. A, I'm going to try and keep to the speed limit, and B, when you're reading questions and answering questions and driving, it's not as easy as you might think. And I need to allow a lot more room than I just did around there. I like how the bus has got like an OMSI sign in it. And it's actually in Portugal. Kind of looks a bit weird. Not to worry. Just wait for the lights to change, we'll get on the road, and then I'll start doing the questions. Come on, there's nothing coming. Thank you. Roads are very quiet. I would have thought this was rush hour myself. Now, if we travel a little bit slower, you never know, the lights might change. Have you ever done this in real life? Where you're coming up to the lights and there you go, you just kind of slow down a little bit and then they change. It's much better than braking and then starting again. This is the TSM map, in case you're wondering. I don't think I mentioned that. This is TSM, I think it's 6.2. The map is in the mod spreadsheet, which is linked in the video description, as is the Freightliner, and anything else you might want on my other games. There is only one mod spreadsheet, but it has more than one tab on it. I have a tab for each game, basically, so if you want to see my OMSI mods, or you want to see my Flight Sim mods, just look on the spreadsheet for the different tabs, and you should find it there. Okay, I'm trying to work out if I need to get in that left lane or not, or whether this is just a... I think I think I'm okay. Or maybe not. Wait a second. Yeah, it looks like a straight through. That's fine. Okay, let's go on with the questions. First question comes from Stephen Harris at Wibbly Teapot. That's a good name. At Wibbly Teapot. It says, your thoughts please on YouTube Red, how this will affect your YouTube channel. Now then, that's a good one, isn't it? YouTube Red. I guess most of you heard about YouTube Red, but just in case some of you have not heard about YouTube Red, let me explain it briefly. I'll be very brief. You can find loads of information on the internet, but briefly, YouTube Red is a paid subscription thing from Google. And what happens is, and it's only available in the US, but it is being rolled out into different countries. But before Christmas it was only in the US. I don't know if they've rolled out anything in January yet. Basically, it's a paid subscription service. It costs $9.99 a month, so about $10. And for that you get the person who subscribes gets various benefits. This is not a subscription to a particular channel. This is a subscription to YouTube. Okay? And it has different features of it. For example, the primary feature is that you will no longer see any adverts when you watch YouTube videos. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, well, I run an ad block, so I don't see any adverts anyway. Lol. That's true. You don't if you run an ad block, and if you have a YouTube Red, then you won't see them either. The difference is that with ad block, you don't support Google and you don't support the content creator, whereas with YouTube Red, you don't see the adverts, but you support both. I'll talk more about the revenue split in a second. The other benefit is, or one of the other benefits is, that you can download videos from YouTube and watch them offline up to 30 days away. So, let's say you're going on holiday, you can go to YouTube on your iPad or your tablet or whatever, on your Android device, log in, just download a whole bunch of videos, and then when you're offline, perhaps on the plane or in the hotel because they don't have any Wi-Fi, you can carry on, watch all your favourite YouTube videos that you've already downloaded, which is kind of cool. Quite like that. If you go away often enough, that could definitely be a good thing. Another thing is you can listen to videos with the screen off. Now this sounds a bit weird, but you can listen to videos with the screen off. And if you're on your tablet, you can actually be using a different app and listening to the video. So if you happen to like podcasts, or even a TMCN episode, for example, which is you could probably just listen to be fair, you could just download it and listen to it. Well, you don't even need to download it. You could be in another app doing something completely different, listening to the video. The YouTube app allows that on the tablet anyway. Now, it doesn't allow you access to any paid channels. So if you happen to like a YouTube channel that is paid to access, then it won't give you access to that. You would still have to pay to access that. YouTube Red is basically you are subscribing to YouTube. It's going to give you a bunch of services and remove the adverts and so on and so forth. That's what it's doing. Now, the one other thing that it does give you, which may be enough to sway the deal for some people, is you also get access to Google Play music service as part of your YouTube Red. So that's a bit like having a Spotify subscription rolled up into a YouTube subscription all in one. You can listen to music and watch videos with the YouTube Red. I'm not trying to sell you this, by the way. I don't care if you get it or not, quite frankly. I'm just basically telling you what it is. I'm telling you the benefits. This is the primary benefit. Like I say, it's only in the US at the moment, but it is rolling out. Now, the question was, what are your thoughts on it, and how will it affect your YouTube channel? Well, you may be wondering what happens to your $10. Well, let me tell you what happens to your $10. 45% of your $10 is taken by YouTube, straight out the bat. They take 45% of the money you pay. Now, if you compare that to, say, Spotify, they only take 30%. Even Apple only take 28.5%. So YouTube's taking 45%, which is quite a chunk of that money. They take 45%. The other 55% is effectively split between all the videos you watch. Now, this is where it gets a little bit murky. Okay? If you are the kind of guy that watches, I don't know, 50 videos a month, and you watch a video on a channel that's only got 1,000 subs, and you watch a video on a channel that's got 3 million subs, do you give the same money to each YouTube channel? Don't know. How much of your money is getting split to them? We don't know. How will they divvy up the money across all the videos that you watch? We're not sure. Is YouTube going to tell us? Probably not. And this is where I have a massive question mark over the whole thing. Because it is very opaque, the sort of payment policies are extremely opaque, in very much the same way as advertising payment policies, advertising revenue policies are quite opaque. We don't really know how it's going to affect any channels. One thing is sure, if you're the kind of guy that runs ad block, and you block all adverts right now, you don't support anybody, if you was to remove ad block and get yourself YouTube Red, then yes, you would absolutely be supporting both YouTube and the channels and the videos that you're watching, which is good. It's a win-win for everybody in that case. So if you're thinking about getting YouTube Red because you absolutely hate adverts, then remove your ad block and get YouTube Red, and you will be supporting the platform. How much I would personally get? No idea. If that's going to be anywhere near as much as advertising revenue, which I might add is not very much, to be fair, no idea. I can only say that something is better than nothing, so you supporting YouTube and the channel is definitely better than you not supporting it. That's for sure. But it is a complete black box, and nobody really knows how it's going to pan out. The other final point I would make about this is that I don't have a say in whether I have YouTube Red or not, really, because what YouTube did, or what Google did, to all of the channels, all of the YouTube channels, is it said to them, hey guys, we need you to sign a new partner agreement which includes YouTube Red, okay? It's going to benefit you, honest. You need to sign here, here's the terms and conditions, you've got to sign that. Oh, and if you don't sign it, we're going to remove all of your videos from public view. Have a nice day. Now that's literally what they did. They issued everybody with a new contract which said, here's YouTube Red, you agree to these terms and conditions. If you don't agree to them, none of your videos will be publicly viewable anymore. Which, I'll be honest with you, isn't really a choice, is it? They might as well just said, here, click this button and agree to this, because you have to. So yeah, that's how Google does business, and that's what happened. So YouTube Red, whether we like it or not, is here to stay. If people take it, how it will affect my channel, I have no idea. How it will affect my revenue, I have no idea. How many people will sign up for it, nobody has any idea. But the only final thing I would say to you is, if you have ad block, then consider YouTube Red. If you don't like adverts and you want to support everybody, because you will, ultimately. But it's entirely up to you. You know, I don't care whether you do or not. I don't really have an opinion on it, because it's just something that is part of the environment of YouTube. And as a content creator on YouTube, well, it's there. That's it. End of story. So I don't know how it'll affect my channel, Stephen Harris, but let's hope it doesn't adversely affect it. Now then, next question comes from Jack Shepherd. And Jack Shepherd, at Jack Shepherd 399, says, if you could have an Eddie Stobart truck, if you could name an Eddie Stobart truck, what would it be? Now, you may be aware that Eddie Stobart names all their trucks, and on the front of them, they used to only have one-word names, but now they tend to have, I think they have at least two, some even have like double-barrel ones, almost three. It's a tricky one, this, because I guess I would probably be tempted to perhaps name my truck, I don't know, after my daughter or my daughters, one or both of them. I could do that. But I guess my favourite one would be if I could just have one name on the front, just a one-word name. I would call my truck Doyle, D-O-Y-L-E. I'd call it Doyle, and Doyle is my dog. Doyle is my Westie. If you've ever seen, if you've ever seen one of my streams, my Twitch streams, you'll have definitely seen Doyle, because I get him on almost every stream. He's the channel mascot. But I also post pictures of him on my Instagram page. So And you may wonder what my Instagram is. Check the video description, but basically it's squirrel.tv. That, I would name my truck Doyle. I would have in the front Doyle. I think it'd just be so awesome. It'd be so cool. I can't think of any downsides. Apart from my daughter's going, oh really? But yeah, that's what I'd probably do. Samuel Taylor at Azia YT, I think it is. What do you think about... wait, I'm drifting here. What do you think about the road being on different sides in different countries? Now, this is a weird question. What do you think about the road being on different sides in different countries? I think what he means, because the road is not on different sides, I think what he means, what do you think about different countries driving on different sides of the road? I think that's what he means, okay? Well, let's dig back through history a little bit here. Let's have a look at why. Why is it that I drive on the left in the UK, and I drive to Europe, we drive on the right? Like, what's going on here? Some of you may know, some of you may not. So let's have a little potted history. So currently, about 35% of the... And I looked this up on Google. About 35% of the world population drives on the left. Yeah? And most of the countries that do are old British colonies. Because, what do you know? Britain conquered them, colonised them, and then made them all drive on the left. However, there's a lot more to it than that. And having read up on this, it is actually quite interesting. So I thought you might want to hear it. I thought it'd be quite a cool thing to go through. Just so that we can all understand why we drive on the left and the right. Now, some of you may well know this, but you may not know some of the facts that I've managed to dig up. They're quite cool. I didn't know a lot of these facts. I just Googled them, but they are pretty cool. Let me just get through here. Why is this guy... Whoa, dude! That was unexpected braking. Why does he look like he's shaking? Look at him. That's the weirdest driving. Oh, I love the sound of this engine. It's just so nice to drive. That car is freaky. Missed. There we go. Let's get out of here. Let me just watch this guy on the right here. Oh, he's fine. He's clear. Do you remember the days when you used to drive through the barriers, and if you had like an extended load, the barrier would come down and chop your trailer? Do you remember that? Ah, the good old Euro truck days. Looks like we're just coming up on Lisbon. Right, so in the past, we have to go back into the past here quite a bit to understand why this happened. In the past, everybody travelled, well, almost everybody travelled on the left side of the road. And they did that, in other words, just like Britain does now. They did that because it's the most sensible option for, if you like, feudal society. Yeah? You know, knights and all that kind of thing, people's swords. It's the most sensible option. And I'll tell you why. Because since most people are right-handed, then swordsmen prefer to be riding, if you like, on the road on the left. Can we get out here? Stay there, pal. Don't drive into me. Please don't drive into me. Thank you, scumbag. I was kind of half expecting to be driven into then. So yeah, they want to be riding on the left so that the right arm is free and nearer to the opponent. So if somebody's coming the other way and you suddenly turns out to be an enemy, you can just get your sword out and hit them with it. And also they wore the scabbard, you know, the protection on like the left shoulder. They wore that on the left shoulder, and then they had the sword on the right, in the right hand, and they could just swipe people as they rode along on their horses. So a lot of it comes from mounted horseback, effectively. This is where it all comes from. This is where the protocol started to be set up. And there was no law. Nobody dictated to you back then, you must ride on the left, you must ride on the right. Nobody said that. So that people just made a sensible choice. They did what was most sensible. And when it came to riding on horseback and you had a sword, it made more sense to ride on the left. And what do you know, a lot of Britain had a lot of knights and a lot of swords and a lot of horses. So hence why we pretty much started the whole thing off by riding on the left. Think about jousting now. Even jousting to this day, they always ride down the left side and they hold their massive joust with their right arm because that's the strongest. And then they reach across to the right, across the fence, and try to shove the other guy off his horse. Again, it all comes down to what made sense. Also, and this is an interesting thing, a right-handed person finds it easier to mount a horse from the left side of the horse. Yeah? And it's because otherwise it's very difficult if you're wearing a sword, which you have to wear on your left. It's also safer because if you're getting on or off your horse, you want to mount and dismount on the side of the road, not in the middle of the road where all the traffic is. So if you're on the left, you dismount on the left, and you dismount onto the side of the road, not into the middle of the road. Yeah? All makes sense. Now this is where it kind of gets a bit interesting, because in the late 1700s, right, in France and the United States, people started hauling products around on big wagons, and they were pulled by more than one horse. They were pulled by several horses. The wagons themselves didn't have a seat on it, so the driver sat on the left rear horse. That allowed him to keep his right hand free, where he had the whip, and he'd basically hit the horses with it to make them go forward. So he sat on the rear left horse and basically whipped the horse with his right hand, because again he's right-handed and he's stronger with his right arm. Now since he sat on the left, naturally you wanted everybody to pass him on the left, so you could look down and you can make sure that he's clear of like other wagons and stuff. Therefore, he kept on the right side of the road, because these guys were not trying to have combat. Yeah, they were just transporting goods. So they sat on the left rear of the horse, whipping the horses with the right arm. They wanted to pass the other wagons on their left. In other words, everybody drove on the right. So that's how they all started driving on the right. Yeah, again, it all makes sense. But the really cool thing is that, like, left-hand driving, as they do in Britain, that was not made law in Britain until 1835. And when they did make it law, then the British Empire made all of their countries, their colonies, follow suit. Hence why they all started to drive on the left. And that was far back as 1835. And the really cool thing is some parts of Canada carried on driving on the left until after the Second World War. Like, how cool is that? Some parts of Canada were driving on the left right up until the Second World War. In Europe, the countries started to switch over one by one from the left to the right, because it made more sense, because they weren't fighting on horseback so much. So they started to move over to driving on the right. And Portugal, for example, only did it in the 1920s. So, you know, we're talking about living memory here. The 1920s, there are still people alive from that era who might remember switching over to driving on the other side of the road. Yay, we're in there this time. Come on. After the Second World War, right, Sweden, which still drove on the left, get this, Sweden was the odd one out in mainland Europe. A lot of the countries had switched over. But because they were bordering with other countries and they were driving on the right, they got like increasing pressure to switch to driving on the other side of the road, because it made more sense. Get in the right gear here. In 1955, yep, Sweden, in 1955, Swedish government had a referendum to introduce driving on the right, and get this, 83% of the population said no. 83% of Sweden said no, we don't want to switch to driving on the right. And the Swedish Parliament passed the law anyway and made them all do it, and they switched over in 1963. 1963 Sweden started driving on the right. And the change took place on the 3rd of September 1967 at 5 o'clock in the morning. And they called it like H Day or something. H is Swedish for, there's a word in Swedish, I can't remember what it is, but it means driving on the right. They called it H Day. And it was pretty much chaos. 5 o'clock in the morning, right everybody, you need to drive on the other side now please. Can you imagine it? Oh my god. So of course you might be thinking, well, why did, you know, what happened with Britain? Why did we not switch over like everybody else did? Well, same thing as in Sweden. In the 1960s, the British government, Great Britain, considered changing to driving on the right. But the Conservative power that was in force did everything they could to nip the proposal in the bud. Yeah? So, in the same way that Sweden ignored the views of their population and just said, oh, we know 83% of you don't want to do this, but we're doing it anyway, so it wasn't really a referendum after all. In the same way, what Britain did was they said, shh, no, we're not talking about driving on the right. No, you know, he's not asking the question. Nope, nobody asked the question about driving on the right. We don't want it. Nope, shh, shush. So they didn't want to have a referendum. They just tried to nip everything in the bud so that nobody asked for it, and they didn't hold a referendum. And because of the cost of it, the cost would have been billions just to move all of the signage over and everything. They just, like, nobody in government wanted to spend that kind of money. You know, this is after the Second World War. The country was trying to get back on its, you know, back off its knees from the expense of World War II. And if somebody comes up and goes, why don't we all drive on the right? Hey, and the bill would be £3 billion. Like, nobody's going to want to do that. So they didn't. So eventually Britain just dropped the whole idea. And to this day, just to end this question, to this day only 4 European countries still drive on the left. United Kingdom, Ireland, Cyprus and Malta. What about that? That's some pretty cool facts right there, right? So, Samuel Taylor, your question was, what do you think about driving on different sides of the road? Well, now you have your answer. There's no need to think about it. You have all the facts, you know why it happened, and I thought there was some pretty interesting facts in there about... I honestly didn't know that countries like Sweden and Canada were still driving on the left, even, you know, as late as World War II. I think that's insane. That's crazy. I thought they'd switched over a long time ago. But anyway, I hope that answers your question. I actually enjoyed answering that one, just looking up a bit of information. That was kind of cool. And maybe, I don't know, if you guys can think of any more interesting questions like that, I could dig out a bit of history. Because I like stuff like that. I like learning little facts like this. Interesting things. Anyway, next question. Comes from David Nark. He says, do you play Tycoon type games? And have you played Automobile Dealership Tycoon? If so, what do you like or dislike about it? Or dislike about the games? Tycoon games, yes, I have quite a long history of playing Tycoon games actually. Like all the railroad tycoons, the transport tycoons, the roller coaster tycoons. I've played them all. I absolutely love Tycoon games. You've never seen a video on this channel with a Tycoon game, but I have streamed Tycoon games. I've streamed Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 a number of times, and we had an absolute blast with that one. But would I consider bringing them on the YouTube channel? No, I don't think I would. I want to keep this channel focused. You're going to see me focus this channel a lot more in 2016. You'll see it. You'll see it happen. But Tycoon games don't belong on the channel as much as I like playing them. If you want to see that, you're more likely to see me stream it. And to be fair, I think I enjoy it more streaming, because with Tycoon games, they tend to be long games. They tend to be many hours of play just for one scenario or one map or whatever it is you're doing. And I actually find that it works better on Twitch on a stream, because I can, like, there's a lot of view interaction. I can basically say, what should we do here? What's your opinion? Should we connect these here? And then people will spot things. They'll go, well, why don't you go from here to here and connect those two cities, or, you know, whatever the game happens to be. Or if it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon, I'll say, you know, what should we build next? Should we build a roller coaster? Should we build one of these? And it's cool. It's interactive. And then the viewer, you know, people watching get really invested in the whole thing. They get invested in whatever we're making, or the company. And Transocean is a game that I've been streaming recently, and again, that's like a shipping tycoon game, and people are really invested in it. They really want to see me take the final character down, Lydia. Lydia is this woman who lends you the money to start your own shipping company, and the whole purpose of the game is to reach tycoon status and then buy her out of your company, because she takes so much money from it. And people really hate Lydia. Like, there's a whole hashtag I hate Lydia thing going on whenever we stream. And it's cool. I love it. I can think of few things more entertaining than playing a Tycoon game with the viewers and a stream. It's wonderful. But on YouTube, I don't think I can make it work as well. But like I say, I want to keep this channel focused on that like simulation type stuff. So for that reason, I won't be bringing Tycoon games to this channel, to this YouTube channel. And I've not heard of Automobile Dealership Tycoon, by the way. I think I might have vaguely heard of it, but I've never looked at it. I hope that answers your question. Anyway, thank you, David. How long have we got here? Let's have a check of the scenario length. 75k. Have we got time for a quick question? I think we probably have. It's a related question, actually, from Skull Chris at Snort Border. Interesting name. Would you ever start playing openTTD on your channel? Again, not on YouTube, but on Twitch. I hope to bring it to Twitch one day. openTTD is, in case you don't know, it's Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe. So Transport Tycoon was a wonderful game. I think it was Microprose that made it, published it anyway. It was just such a wonderful game, Transport Tycoon. And when they stopped making it, a few years later they dumped the code for the game into the public domain, and a bunch of enthusiasts took over it. And even to this day, they continue extending it. It's still the same isometric 3D graphics, but they unlocked so many things in the game so that you can build, you know, as many trains as you want, as many bus routes as you want, trains with like ridiculous length carriages. It's a game that takes you all the way from like the early steam engine all the way to maglev trains, and it is utterly wonderful. And then they added a kind of multiplayer server aspect to it, to openTTD, so you can go online, join a server, and compete against other people rather than fighting the AI, because if you've ever played the game, you'll know that fighting the AI is, well, it's interesting, let me put it that way. The AI is, depending on what difficulty you put it on, it seems to get way too much money, be able to build routes that are absurdly expensive, and its early game is very, very strong, its mid-game tends to weaken out, and its end-game is non-existent. So it's not really a proper challenge. So the multiplayer, obviously, which I've never actually played on openTTD, the multiplayer brings a whole new aspect to it, which I've not tried out. But if you've never seen openTTD, then just Google openTTD and you'll see it. Transport Tycoon it's a timeless game. It really is. Moving goods around a map for money, building different routes, airplane routes, bus routes, train routes. It's fantastic. Love the game. Okay, I think we're about to get on here. Let me see if I can find a quick question. Here's one. Festive Fizzles, I think it's called. Festive Fizzles? Are we in the right lane or not, are we? Can't even go that way. Festive Fizzle says, have you ever tried DCS World? And if yes, what are your thoughts? I have tried DCS World, actually. DCS World is a game, Digital Combat Simulator is what DCS stands for. It's a free-to-play game, funnily enough. It's on Steam. If you look for DCS, you'll find it. What happens is it's free-to-play, but you buy the aircraft. The game itself is incredibly detailed. Military combat simulator. Like, you know, you sit in an aircraft and it might take you 30 minutes just to get off the runway. It's that detailed. It's at that level. It's a proper sim level. And then you've got all the weapon systems on top, never mind flying the aircraft. And also you can join servers, you can run missions with each other. It's an amazing game, an amazing simulation that I 100% intend to get into in 2016. Now, it's on version 1.5, 2.0 is currently in beta, and one of the new maps that they released for it is Vegas, and it's a very detailed model of Vegas, and it looks incredible. And I will be bringing it to the channel. I may have to stream it for a while just to try and learn how to fly the aircraft. It's often easier to learn on a stream because there are plenty of people around who can help you, so it's much easier to do it on a stream. But then once I've got into the game, I would start to make videos and show you guys like how to get into it, how to play it. I'd love to fly choppers in it, especially around Vegas. Wow, look at this narrow road here. To focus on that, let's just stay wide so we don't cut the inside. 2:30 in the morning, almost at the destination. It's actually been a good run. Nice little night drive. Just like trucking for real, the traffic's nice and quiet at night, so you You don't get stuck so much. If ever you're driving the road at night, you always see plenty of trucks on the road. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I will be playing DCS, but it will take me some time to get into. Of course, American Truck Simulator is out very, very soon. So that is going to be a main focus of my channel. But once we get that out the way, and I've got a bit more time available, that's when I'll start to look at DCS. And hopefully, it'll be on version 2 by then anyway, so I'll be able... Wow, dude. Really? Isn't this a bit residential to be overtaken? Looks a bit residential. I don't know. What's the speed limit down here? Hey, it's 50. So yeah, it's quite residential actually, that speed limit. Oh, look at that. Did you see that? Oh, if there's one thing that bugs me about TSM, it's these speed ramps. They're quite violent. I wouldn't mind just like sleeping policemen, like, you know, the steady tarmac ramps. But I hate the violent ones, like those things. Even in real life, I hate those things because you have to drive them over them extremely slowly. Because if you don't, you just know you're damaging your suspension. Anyway, I think that is as many questions as we can... Oh, no, let's do one more. One more, quickly. Steve Chester, do you get more or less free time... Wait a sec. Do you get more or less free time since you went full-time? Do you get a full day off? It's an interesting question, that one. Steve, I'll be honest with you, I'm still trying to work out a routine that works. I'm still playing around with a routine to try and find that magic balance between what I do for a living now and some family time and just some downtime. And I've not found the balance yet. Inevitably, what tends to happen with me is I work 7 days a week. Last 2 nights I've been up till 3 AM. Working away, doing like video thumbnails and editing video and stuff. I just work way too much. I've always done this. I've always... Like, I get bored, basically. I don't like sitting around doing nothing. I really never have. And so when I'm not sitting around, when I'm sitting around doing nothing, inevitably my mind starts to think, well, I could be editing, I could be fixing this, I could be doing that. And so I don't give myself enough time off. I don't get enough sleep, and then inevitably all catches up with me. And I then crash and sleep for an entire day or 2 days or feel lousy for a bit, and then I come back. And that seems to be how it works, which, as I say, is not a schedule. It's not workable. It's not balanced. It's none of those things, and I fully admit it. But I'm really struggling to find the right balance in my life, to try and find a schedule that works. I'll let you know if ever I do. But until then, I'll just keep doing what I do. But in terms of days off, generally speaking, no. But I do take the odd day off when I feel absolutely, completely and utterly drained. I'll just say, that's it, I'm having a day off. But it's not very often. But I'm not complaining. I mean, this is what I chose to do. It's what I love to do. So, you know, they say if you're doing what you love, then it's not work anyway. And it's pretty much true, to be fair. I think I might have to do this in 2 stages here. Reverse it over that end. I don't find it as tiring doing what I do as when I used to go and sit at a desk all day and you know, code on computers. And I think the reason for that is, even though I'm still sat at a desk most of the day on a computer, you know, I'm not coding, but I'm also enjoying what I'm doing. So anything that you enjoy, funnily enough, tends to tire you out mentally a lot less than something that you don't enjoy. I'm gonna have to... There's something about the way the reversing either of this truck or this trailer works. I think it's because it's an oversized trailer, but I'm gonna have to go and take out a chunk of this road to get this thing lined up. It's not behaving. It's not playing ball. That's better. Steady as she goes. So yeah, like I say, I'm not complaining. I'm just answering your question, telling you how it is. People are often surprised. I think they think that, you know, YouTubing and streaming is a piece of cake, and it's far, far, far from being a piece of cake. It's actually very hard work. And a lot of you will laugh and say, but you just play games all day, you know? I mean, that is the fantasy scenario, just saying you play games all day. And I really don't play games all day. There's an absolute ton of things I do apart from playing games. And let me put it this way, I don't get to just play a game and enjoy myself anymore, because I always think to myself, I shouldn't be playing this, I should be grinding my warships, or I should be recording some more trucking. I should be doing anything but just enjoying myself and not recording. I always feel I should be recording when I play a game. That is the nature of the beast. Lovely. I hope you enjoyed that episode of This May Contain Nuts. We've managed to successfully deliver the bus. We drove right through Portugal, through the night, answered a bunch of questions, and hopefully you learned a few things about why we drive on the left and on the right. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care. Happy trucking.